Good morning, welcome. Oh, light. Yeah, amateur hour here. There we go. Yeah, let's do that. Welcome to the stream, everybody. All right. Nice. Here we are. For those of you in North America, in the United States, happy Independence Day. Yeah, that face was me having mixed feelings about the whole thing, but yay, holiday. And see what we were gonna do. Right. So, no particular plan for research today. So we thought we would. Abe's here. Hi, Abe. Welcome. Uh, Thought we might continue to, as I put it, noodle around in Abe's tree and see what there is to look at. So in the last stream, we dug in deeper to the Bates line and went up looking at. Let's go find him. There we go. Lucius Bates here. And as before, as with the Abraham Height thing, we didn't have a huge breakthrough. We had some tantalizing clues. The biggest tantalizing clue is the possibility of this Thomas Bates, who suspiciously was living in the same very small town in, what was it, Iowa? At the same time as Lucius, which we took to mean seemed like maybe they would be related. They had other commonalities, like born close together in the same part of Connecticut, and military veterans and some other stuff. So we thought, okay, let's put that in as a placeholder for a possible relative, because then if we figure out where Thomas comes from, that might give us a pointer to where Lucius or Lucian, we found that he went by both, where he might have come from. As of yesterday, it didn't do that. Or last stream. As of last stream, we didn't get there, but it's still a good placeholder to put in case other hints come up, other stuff comes up that might help us figure out where Lucius or Lucian Bates may have come from. It does occur to me something I want to look for. So what I'm going to do, there is a source. Oh, there's a couple sources we can look at for the Bateses, actually. Let's do that. There is a source that Ancestry has that if he was really in it, I would have expected it to have come up as a hint by now, but I'm still going to check just for completeness. It's a thing called the Barber Collection, which is a bunch of transcribed records from Connecticut, from the various Connecticut towns that were compiled into a big set of books that was done by, oh, hey, wait a minute, Lucius, a dude named Lucius Barnes Barber. So, this was made in the 1800s, but it's mostly just a pointer to existing records. So even though this is a secondary source, right? It's not the primary source itself, but it is a pointer, and it's considered to be generally kind of reliable. Generally kind of, I don't know, what does that even mean? I wanted to see if, okay, so the tariff bill that you listed is not in here, but what I figured we could look for is Lucian Bates. And he was born around when? 1824. 1824 in Hartford County. Hartford County. All right, let's see what we can find. Yeah, okay, we're not surprised by that. Fine, let's see if there are any Bateses in Hartford County. Well, I mean, there's plenty of Bateses. So what does this tell us? These are going to be spouse. That's not a birth. Those are yeah. Those are the parents. Okay. Okay, so if it gives us a date, that okay, so how I'm reading this. What I did was I came in and I zeroed in on, I want to look at the birth records first. And I'm looking for anybody named Bates, and I've told it to prefer Hartford County. And it's going to dump this giant list out. One of my great frustrations with Ancestry search results is that I can't sort them by any particular thing that I want to sort them by. But, all right, so what do I got here? A bunch of stuff. Since I'm just looking at, so it didn't give me anything on Lucian. And as I'm scanning this list, the first 50 results, I don't see any Lucians or anything anywhere close to that. I see some Lucys. That may not help us. And mostly when I don't see a date here, there's a couple things that might mean. For this example here, oh, and I can always hover over this to see a little bit of detail about the record, which is very helpful because it saves a lot of time not having to click through, right? So this tells us that we have a Rufus Benjamin Bates, born in Tolland County, which is near Hartford, but a different county. And I mean, it's Connecticut, everything's near Hartford. 1822, so that's the right ballpark for us, and it gives his parents' names. So the fact that there's a date and a place here tells us that this is the birth record for this person, which indeed it is. This one here, say, for example, Abigail. Aha! The lack of a date or a place could tell us a couple of things. It oftentimes, is this it? Nope. Well, I was going to say it oftentimes means that it's the record for the parent, but in this case it doesn't. It just means a bunch of people that don't have the dates listed. All right, so now I'm curious because I want to click through and see why that is. So I'm clicking on this. Here are Bates, and this is going to take us to, the book is organized by town. So there are volumes of it by town, township, whatever. So we're now in Durham. I don't actually know where Durham is. And for some reason, Durham wasn't transcribed into the record itself, which is annoying. And then we go here and we want to look for, we click through on Abigail. Oh, interesting. Okay. So the reason we don't have a birth date is because this isn't a birth record. It's a baptism record. And I've seen this a bunch of times before. But the way that these were indexed, if we look at the information, can we add additional information? It doesn't have, this particular collection, Ancestry didn't set it up with a place to put the baptism date. They should have. There are other collections where they have done that, but for whatever reason, they just didn't configure it that way. That's the sort of thing where sometimes they come back around and fix it later, but in this case, they have not. So that actually is helpful. So I was expecting that I was going to see that all those blanks were going to go to people who didn't have a birth date recorded, which they kind of don't. But, or that it would be the parents, but it isn't. It is that these are probably baptism records, which means they're worth looking at because that probably is a record for that child and it might name their parents. Yay. Now we have the problem of Lucian's not in here. Let's certainly look at Lucy, just in case. I could imagine that also maybe being a mistranscription. 1720 is the wrong time frame. 1724, wrong time frame. 1756, wrong time frame. And this is all still just in Durham. I don't know if that's how they pronounce it in Connecticut. This is the other, yeah, this is one of the other Lucy Bateses. So that's not helping us. And as I'm scanning this list, I'm not seeing a Thomas either. So it tells us that they're not in the Barber collection in the births. Fine. We can then go backwards and look at marriages and deaths if we want to. So here we have the death records collection, and then we have the marriage records collection. I don't think the marriage helps us. Oh no, it says maybe we get a marriage. Let's look. That one was the one that had the oddball newspaper. Bates. Marriage, 1850. We looked at that odd news record. Okay. I'm getting some Buttses in here, which doesn't really, there's Thomas. There's Thomas. Residence Place, Illinois. See, now this is interesting. So, yep, interesting collection here. All right, let me narrow this down a little more. Lucius. Why not? let's pick this. So Ancestry does, you've seen me do that before, I think, where it'll offer to autocomplete, and I don't always take it. Oh, and it filled in the wrong marriage, which is what I don't want. So let's blank that back out. 1850, somewhere in Connecticut. Why don't I just put Bill? And I'm just going to not, I'm intentionally not going to autocomplete because we had this weird thing where the newspaper seemed to be saying that it was in South Carolina. All right, so let's see if there's anything about this marriage. I don't think there will be, but let's see. And this one is a little more generous. It's giving us things that are anywhere close, which is people with initials of L or C. Yeah, okay. Clearly not the record we're looking for. So we're not finding him in the Barber collection. We're basically like from the mid to late 1700s, like right before the Revolutionary War and then after, is when we flip over from before that time. There's a lot of really complete records. There's a lot of information, surprisingly. Like weirdly for me, there's chunks of time where in Connecticut you're just going to find all the records. They're all there. And then we get into this time frame and they're just not, and it's frustrating. So all right, so no big breakthroughs, neither with Thomas nor with Lucius. In the marriage records, we know they didn't die in Connecticut, so I don't see there any good reason. And we have their death information, so I don't see a good reason to go looking there. Man. See, then we get into like, there's a lot of sifting that we could do where there's at least a decent chance that somebody left a probate record naming Lucius and or Thomas as children. But to go find the heirs named in probate records, those are really, really not well indexed right now. So that is just a big slog of looking through anybody named Bates who might be a parent. And we might still not even find, because we don't know that their parent died with a will, or that they had a probate, or that they died in Connecticut. They may have moved somewhere else before they died. So there's a lot of, it's needle in very many haystacks at that point. So we don't really, this is why we want to dig and find these little clues, even if they're sketchy clues. And this is where I'll even offer a modest defense of totally BS other people's trees and stuff, is that sometimes those will be a way to narrow down what county or city to look at, and that can at least shrink the number of Bateses that you have to look at. And with Bates being a pretty common name, all the help we can get, right? So I don't put things from the other trees into a tree as a fact most of the time, unless I have a very tactical reason for dropping it in there as a way to pull hints or whatever. But they can still be helpful little pointers. We didn't do the trick that I do sometimes, which is just straight up Google search on the names. And what I will do to get, sometimes I'll just do the name of the one person. With Lucius or Lucienne, it could be, hang on a second, it could be kind of, all right, noisy dogs. Thank you, Cranky, for dealing with the dogs. All right. It's been surprisingly not fireworky here, so they haven't been too on edge, which I'm grateful for. I enjoy fireworks, but I don't enjoy dealing with dogs and fireworks. Anyway, sometimes I'll look for just the one person's name, but one of my favorite things to do is just to take both of the names of a married couple that I'm familiar with, that I want more about, and just Google search those names together. This will be harder because Allen and Bates are both fairly common. But what it can do is Lucius Christopher Bates. Yeah, I bet that's not what we want. Yeah, too late. Neat though, Lucius Christopher. Because that can get me back all kinds of crazy stuff. And so sometimes it will be somebody's roots web tree. Sometimes it might be the existence of a family book. It might be a Wikipedia page. So I'm not looking for Daisy Bates. Don't have any reason to think that that's helpful. So in the Google search, what I can do is tell it to take out. I'm using the hyphen, the minus sign, Daisy. So give me these results that don't have Daisy in them. And now, right, I'm going to be kind of interested in, now what this will do is it's going to bring, anytime those words appear on the same page, even if they're nowhere near each other. So there's going to be a lot of garbage here that doesn't help me. But I can scroll through here and just see if there's anything interesting, if there's anything remotely genealogy looking. And because this guy's a Civil War veteran, it could also be Civil War stuff. Nothing. I'm not excited about any of these results, right? It's not pointing me to anything I want. Other thing I was wondering about is, I don't remember how far we dug into. Sometimes it is common that I will forget what I researched in a previous session. Okay. Oh, right. So this was going to be, what I wanted to see is, what is the newspaper? Hartford Times. Okay. Hartford Times 1850. So I'm also going to do a quick look at, can I find anything? Oh, hello. Hartford Current. That doesn't help me. Hartford Times. Okay, so they have, and then this one has, Hartford Weekly Times? Maybe? That's interesting. Okay, so maybe we can find 1846, so that doesn't help. Succeeding time. Yeah, sure enough, huh? Huh. Well, let's see if we can find the paper. All right, 18. So, because what we wanted in the last, sorry, leaping around like I do, in the last stream, we looked at this record that we found for Lucius C. Bates. We think that's that's probably a C. Where there is this newspaper article in October of 1850 that says that he married Anne Allen in 1850, and for some reason the transcript thinks it was in South Carolina. We can't figure out why it would say that. No, honey. Oh, poor baby. The boy has to wear a cone right now, and he is itchy, and it's very sad. Maybe I'll show you Cone Boy in a little bit. Okay, so if we could find, this should be then the paper of October 27th, 1850. So what I wonder is, do you have that? Is that here? Week. Show me week. So we found, I did a Google search, sorry, so I leaped ahead again a bit, but we searched for Hartford Times 1850, and what we found was Library of Congress. This one is also a Library of Congress. That was this site that gives us kind of metadata about what was this paper and when was it published. And so I glanced down here, and first thing I saw was that this Hartford Times only ran through 1846, which doesn't get us into 1850. But down here, it's going to say what was the title that came after it, because this handles when papers changed their names. And this says that the Hartford Weekly Times is the thing that succeeded Hartford Times. And you got to figure that the locals kept calling it the Hartford Times because that's what they were used to. And it ran from 1847 to 1897. So that includes the date we're looking for. We want 1850. So then that gave me a little bit of confidence that this other result, Google News Archive search, that came up, is probably, maybe the paper we're looking for. And that is kind of helped out by the fact that in this transcript, this is our origin, we are looking at something that lists articles that are weekly, right? So it says the Hartford Times here, but the dates are not daily, they are weekly. So that feels like it's a weekly paper that at one point was called the Hartford Times. Now, did it publish on the 27th? It sure did. Here it is. Is that it? No, that's not what I want. Oh no, what have I done? Okay. 1850. Oh man. All right. Navigating Google newspapers is sometimes difficult. Browse this newspaper. May, October 26th? Sure. Okay, so this says 26th. And then, yeah, there's only 3 pages in this thing. And of course, what we want to do is jump to Where does it look like there's marriage announcements? All right, take me in closer, please. Good heavens. Okay, and that's going to be, right, those are going to look like quick listings. Marriages, right there. You see it? Marriages. Well, that didn't exactly zoom where I wanted, but I keep zooming. There. Oh no, is that as far in as it will go? I think it is. Oh no. That is very difficult to read. What I'm looking for is this the announcement for Lucius Bates? And I don't think I see it. Don't think I see it. Yeah, it's really not gonna let me do that. Okay, let me see. Can I clip this? No, don't do that. No, don't do that. No, don't do that. And then could there be another section somewhere? Maybe. But the little column listing marriages is probably where marriages are. I suppose unless they were more prominent and got a whole full listing them, like a whole, like got an article, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that looks like that's the place I would expect to find it, and I don't see it. But what if we I'm trying to see if there's any way I can trick it into zooming in more, and there probably is. Well, at a minimum. Oops, what have I done? All right, fine. Also weird. Oh, there's a stray calf. Nice. Stray calves got more than marriages. Just going to scan for other marriages. I don't see other marriages. Okay. Okay. Zoom in some more. Zoom in some more. Zoom in some more. That's as much as I can do. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to use my screenshotting app that I have on my computer to take a screenshot. And that's going to come up in this. And then I can zoom that to screen. No, it's not great, right? Enhance. No, it didn't do anything. But it is more readable. So Murdoch by the river. Okay, in this city, Mr. John Hutchings. That's not us. A.B. Alvord, I'm guessing. Robinson. Holcomb. Knight. Pierce. Wheeling. Eastern New York. Hungerford. Prindle. Something that does not say Bates. And White. Okay, so no, no, and no. We'll get rid of those. All right. We will get rid of that. Okay, so that next thing I want to do is, can I go to the next issue? Poshy. Posh? Hi, do you have things to say? This one has things to say today. No, honey. No, honey, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, are you cranky? He's cranky boy. It's cranky boy. All right, so maybe that November 2nd issue is the one that we want, actually. So now let's go see if we can find the teeny tiny marriages column. Yep. Oh, no. Oh, I don't think we're going to be able to read that. Oh, that's really, really tiny. Oh, please enhance. Oh, come on, come on, come on. That is better. That is better. That is a lot better. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty. Oh, that's downright readable. And Lewis, Hall, Shank, Scranton, Bishop, Lewis, Ambler, Sedgwick, Calhoun, Palmer, Curtis, negative. No Bates. No Bates. No love. None at all. Full screen. No, that's no. Oh, okay. Good. Okay. Again, I haven't thoroughly looked here to see if there might be a larger article. Could read the whole thing. The other thing I'm wondering, because it's this says it says 1850. Wait. 1850. 49. 49. Why does that say 50? That's out of order. That's weird. 49. That's a typo. That's a typo, isn't it? That's 49. All right, fine. Let's go look. October, was there an October 27th, 1849? Because the date didn't precisely, there was. October 27th, 1849. Marriages column. Here's marriages. Let's get this. Jackpot. That is it. There it is. Look it, we found it. We found it. So I need a soundboard with the horns and stuff. We found it. We found it. It, honest to goodness, does say in Graniteville, South Carolina. It says that. Look at that. There it is. Graniteville, South Carolina, October 7th, in the Methodist Episcopal Church by Reverend Henry Mood, Mr. Lucius C. Bates of Tariffville, Connecticut, and Miss Ann Allen of Belleville, Massachusetts. We looked last time and we couldn't find a place called Belleville, Massachusetts. But there it is. But we now know that's what the newspaper said. It might still be wrong. So he's of Tariffville in Graniteville, South Carolina. We don't know why. 1848. Why would they be there? Why would they both be there if they were both from New England? Why? It's so weird. Right? So could that be wrong? I still think there's a good chance the paper itself was wrong, but jackpot! All right. So we have this. Now, what do we do? Link to article. Link to article. Link to article. Click on a headline to choose the article. That one. All right. Link to article. So now we have, I can copy this link and I can move it over here. We'll go back this way to get back to Lucius's profile. Way back. Okay. Nope, 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 nope. We want Lucius. All right, so here's Lucius. And what I'm going to do then, so I'm on Lucius's page. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the sources. That'll be a lovely list of sources now. And I'm going to do add a web link. And so I'm going to put the URL in here and original marriage announcement in Hartford Weekly Times. Oh, wait, and I'm going to put that there. And give it a minute. There it is. I've taken to putting the year at the beginning of the text because oftentimes the description gets truncated. And so then it's easier for me to see which ones are which. So now we know. It doesn't give the exact. Oh, wait. Yes, it does. October 7th. Okay. So we know October 7th. 10/7. Oh, 1849, not 50. 49. 49. And Graniteville, South Carolina. There's a Graniteville in Massachusetts. Man, you know I gotta like that one better, right? Like, you just have to like that one better. Or even like Vermont. Any of the ones in New England I would like better. Newspaper says. Okay. So we save that. So the only bummer about the web links is that I can't link them as a source. They're not in this list of sources, and they're not in the list of media. So if I want to link, okay, see Google News Archive link, and then it might fit. Yeah, that fits. All right, so we'll go there. Okay, the other thing I want to do as a public service, it's really only us who cares about this because we're the only record that's affected by this typo, right? But that says 1850 and it shouldn't. It should say 1849. And what we're going to do is we're going to say incorrect in image, which it is, add explanation. Yeah. It's a continuation of 1849 from previous page. See Google News Archive. Hey, I'm going to throw the link in there too. Now, again, we're the only ones looking at this record right now, so we're the only ones who care. I am super curious to figure out where on earth. So, yeah, I'm still obviously very dubious about this Graniteville, South Carolina. Okay, so something I now want to go poke around at. Okay, so we can close this. We're done with this. We have the link to it. Other thing I want to poke around at is where is Belleville, Mass? Where is Belleville, Massachusetts? Belleville Cemetery. Ha-ha. Ha-ha. Excellent. Belleville Congregational Church, Newburyport. Cemetery, Newburyport. That seems good. Massachusetts to Belleville, Ontario, Canada. That does not help me. All right, so maybe, so sometimes what you'll find is that if it's an old village or town that doesn't exist anymore, it's been absorbed into a bigger area, sometimes you will find the names of places, but churches are real good for that. Church or cemetery might still be named after the old place. Okay, so what I want to figure out is, where is Belleville, Mass? Is it anywhere near Connecticut? No, it is not. And where is Graniteville, Mass? Graniteville is in Westford. Graniteville is not that far from the closest thing we have to Belleville, although I wouldn't call it close. But it's a lot closer than frickin' South Carolina. So is it possible that they might have been married in Graniteville, Mass? Maybe. I mean, at this point, kind of anything's possible. We don't know. It's not definitive enough for me to say, bam, they're right next door to each other. They're obviously the same place. I'm not there, right? I'm not that close. But it's possible. So yeah, the Belleville, Mass mystery. So the other thing is, if that's the name that the village had back in the old days when they lived in it, then I might expect to be able to find that records might exist under the name of the old place. This is why we care. Like, we care about both what was the name of the place when they lived in it, and also what is the name of the place now, because both of those things help us to figure out how do I get to those records. Aha, oh, I see a couple things I want to fix here because I am a little bit compulsive about it. All right, so I'm going to fix that. Standardizing to ancestries format, and then this guy. I want the county in there. There we go. Sorry, and my eyes just go to those. If they're not in that 4-part location in the US, I just go right there. Oh, and then this one wants to be Winona County. I love the fact, this is a thing I like better about Ancestry's standardization. Family Search will standardize and it will take out the word county, so you just have a 3-part. But here, because the word county is in here, then I understand that's why there's only 3 parts. Not like, did they mean the city of Winona or the county of Winona? Now I know exactly which is which, and I appreciate that. So, all right, so we have, yes, great. Might be interesting to see if there's anything else about Anne Allen, right? We are cursed with another really common surname. So that doesn't help us a whole lot, but we can do some searching here. Interesting. What is this? What have we here? If that's what she was buried, if that's the name she had when she was buried, then that seems an awful lot like that would be her married name and not her. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Jumping ahead. When I clicked through to this record, because it's intriguing, what I'm intrigued by is that we know Lucian Bates was one of the early settlers of Oregon. However, that's with his second wife, not with this wife. And but we don't know what happened to this wife. We don't know if she died or if they divorced or whatever. So I wanted to click through here and see, but it's very suspicious when you see a death record that only lists one surname for a woman. In all likelihood, that death record is her under her married name. And Allen wasn't her married name, it was her maiden name, birth name. So all of this doesn't seem quite right, but it is the right year and it is the right, not only is it Massachusetts, but it's Hampshire County, Massachusetts. And that might account for the fact that she had a New Hampshire as a birthplace and a Massachusetts as a birthplace. Maybe that was an error for Hampshire County. Whew. That's a lot, right? I've done a lot there. But here's what's helpful. Hang on, let me fix this zoom here. Fix the zoom. There we go. Here's what is helpful when I click through to this record. I'm a big fan of the suggested records on the right side because what that tells us is the way these suggested records come to be is that this is a person, someone that other people are researching. And so whoever it is that this record refers to, people have attached this record to a bunch of profiles that correspond also to this person. And so most likely this Anna Allen is most likely the same person as Anna King, probably. Maybe. Now, it may also be wrong. It may also be a lot of people who have conflated those records. And we still can't rule out that they divorced and that she went on and married somebody else and has yet another name, right? But probably not marrying somebody who has her birth name. Could it be this person? We're too far afield at this point, right? We've gone a little too. Oh, and Anna King was born in Ohio, and now it's just a mess. So Anna King and Anna Allen are probably not the same person because that's the name she had at death, and this is the name she had at death. But in all likelihood, ain't none of these Anna Bates. So all of this is probably not her. Fine. Moving on. Back to these search results. That also kind of is a nice hint that this person is probably the one who went on to become Anna King, most likely. And C.G. Bates. Nope. Married to a William Bates. Nope, not our guy. Monroe Bates. But nope, 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 nope. Probably not. Maybe. Nope. That one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's her. That's our guy. Okay. But that's telling us in Minnesota. We already knew that. What we're trying to do is get her any further back, and I'm not convinced we're going to. Okay, so this has her living in 1865, which is fine. That doesn't conflict with anything that we thought we knew, right? Right, we already knew that. So she was in Utica. Oh yeah, let's fix this. Let's make this be Utica here. Drop that township thing, hanging on to that in the description. That's what we did on the other profiles. All right, so we have her. And then we don't have any record of her existing after 1870. And we know that Lucienne marries again in 1877 to Carrie Clark. Okay, and what's this source? Okay, newspaper articles. So there was a Minnesota, hang on, let's go back there. Okay, let's go back to Ann Bates. And Alan Bates here. So we have, okay, so she's in the Minnesota State Census. We didn't have that record attached to Lucian, and I would like it to be. I'm going to assume that he's in here, and if he's not, that's going to be an interesting fact. So I want to find their household. Where are you at? Now, where is she? Okay. Find on there. Oh, and there's Henry. But no Lucian. Well, right? Demetrius Cheatham. So look at here. Here's Ann Bates. That seems like that's our person, especially because she's there with a Henry Bates who is male. And we don't have any ages, which is super bummer. But we have an Ann Bates and a Henry Bates. And that corresponds to, we have this kid. All right. But already in 1860, so who's she living with in 1870? Is she back? Yeah, she's back with Lucian there. Okay. All right, fine. So why is she not living with him here? Maybe he's run off to Prospect in Oregon and he's going to come back and get him. I don't know. Right? But we don't have him here. And so she's living in this household. We can tell by the numbers in the left-hand column that these are the markers of who the head of household. That's the number of the household. So she's living in a household with Demetrius Cheatham and his family. Presumably that's husband, wife, all the children, but we don't know for sure. Why is that a check mark there? What is that? What does that say? Soldiers. Interesting. Okay, fine. He's a soldier. Oh, yeah, in 1860. Oh, 1865. Dummy. Lucian, if he's off serving in the war, he's off serving in the war right now. So she's in this other household. Okay, that's why he's not here. That makes total sense. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to open up the index of people, because what I would like to do is make sure, if it isn't already, that Henry Bates's record is attached to him. So keep your eye on this upper right-hand corner. If I click on Ann Bates, it's going to say that that record's already saved because it's saved to Ann. When I click on Henry Bates, it's going to open up this save dialog because it's not saved to anybody yet. And I want to add it to Henry Bates, and that's Henry Bates Jr. And we now have his middle initial A, which I'm going to add. Now we have Henry A. Bates, and there he is. Dad's off at the war. Yeah, sure. Extra facts, right? We like facts. Facts are good. Okay. So we have that. We still don't know. All right, and this tends to spawn. Sometimes I spawn a bazillion extra tabs because it went back to there, and then I just go for. Okay, so here we are. We still don't know what happened to her afterwards. So we're going to do another search. Let's see if we can find any death records. What I might be looking for. 1873. If that's in Minnesota, it's not. It's in Massachusetts. Okay. See, I don't think that's you. But I want to look for death records. What I'd like to find is the simplest explanation for that time period is that she passed away in Minnesota. That would be tidy. Doesn't mean that's what happened, but it would certainly make it easier. And so I'm looking for, let's just take Massachusetts out, because it's giving me a bunch of Massachusetts deaths, but the fact is that I'm pretty sure she would have died in Minnesota. So I'm just going to take out her birthplace of Massachusetts because it's trying too hard to match on that, and I would like it to stop. So I want to give it, the only location that I'm giving it now is Minnesota. And I'm hoping that that will help. I could also put in 1912 doesn't really help me now, does it? And that's Connecticut, and that's Massachusetts. So I think now it's just mad because I've not given it anywhere near enough. Let's see. Oh, wait, I saw a Minnesota go by. Let's give it that we think she died in Minnesota, and let's also give it that we think this would have been around 1875. Let's just make that up. Because what we want to do is all we're trying to do is get the maybe more relevant records to pop up to the top. And since they haven't, that did not work at all. I'm still scrolling. Mississippi. Yes, see. So what we've done now is that Ancestry's just thrown its hands in the air and said, I don't know. I don't even know. Oh, you know what I want to do, too? I want to get rid of Allen. Allen doesn't help me. Bates is what helps me. So notice, I just keep taking things away that Ancestry is improperly matching on. I don't want somebody who was buried under the name Allen. That doesn't help me at all. I want somebody who was buried under the name Bates. So here, I'm still getting back a whole bunch of locations that are not helpful, mostly in New England. Which just tells us that there's more people named Bates. There's a bunch there that have records. That doesn't help me a whole lot. Why aren't you giving me 50? I want 50 per page. Give me 50. 50 records, none of which are useful. And then what I can do, I mean, this is a pretty good indication that we're not going to find anything useful, because if there was a better quality match, it would be closer to the top, but not always. So what I want to do here is I want to go state and adjacent states. So I'm narrowing it down. I'm just whacking Ancestry a little bit more, and I'm narrowing it down to Minnesota. But I'm going to be generous and say adjacent states. Fine, great. This is going to tell us, like, what's even close. And the answer is no, none of this looks good. None of this is useful, right? So no good here. So Ancestry doesn't got it. And that's just how it is. Okay, so we don't know. Again, we also could just be way off. Like, maybe the whole point is that she didn't die in Minnesota, but Lucius may have run off, or they may have gotten a divorce. We don't know. He comes back from war. He's a changed man, yada, yada, right? So we don't know. If there's a gossipy newspaper in Winona County, Minnesota, I might go digging for that. That's, just to see if we can figure out what happened to her. So we don't know. But I'm kind of, that's not even the person that Abe's descended from. Hey, there we go. So yeah. Okay. Henry A. Yes, I think so. So why don't we do a little work on Carrie here? We don't have her parents either, and this is the person you're actually descended from. So that's cool. Okay. Marriage? So is this 1906? This is where she married James Gray? Let's do that. There? Okay. Now, some of this, Abe, I'm guessing that you have from family history and not from sources. Let's go here. What is that? Oh, yeah, well, that I was gonna say you made a typo, but you did not. Ancestry did. Huh. Are they wait, okay. Oh, are they shacking up before they got married? Good for them. Good for them. All right, I'm just going to take out this. That doesn't help us. So what we want is Baker County, Oregon. There. That's better. Okay, so she's here. Right, wife of... All right, Clara. She's listed as Clara, but there she is. And she's the mother of Thomas and Clifford. And then we are missing the 1890 census. We don't get that. But we know Lucius was still alive because he was in the veteran schedule. But then, yep, he dies 1895, and she's in 1900 as a widow in Oregon. Gotcha. Right. So is Lucius in? Yes, Lucius is in Oregon by 1890. So most likely she is too. Right. So Lucius is in Oregon here because he's in the veteran schedule. So we don't have a source that says that Carrie was in Oregon by 1890. However, I'm just going to put a placeholder here. I don't like doing the thing where you attach, that's not what I wanted, where you attach the other person's record to this person. I think it confuses ancestry a little more than I like, but I do want to just put a placeholder here without a source. Harney, Oregon. So L.C. Bates's veterans schedule shows him living here at this time, presumably with this family. Just putting that note. I'm not attaching the source because the source doesn't name her. It's not a source for her. I'm just saying most likely, because what I wanted to understand was when do they come to Oregon? And then by the time Lucius has passed away, she's moved on to Baker County. You probably know how close or how far that is. I do not. And then in 1900, we know this is the same person because we have Thomas and Clifford, as well as the other children that they had who would have been in the 1890 census if there were one, but there isn't. And so what we have here is a blended household with Clara and or Carrie Bates. Her children by Lucius are listed here, and then presumably these are James Gray's children, right? And then in 1910, is she Carrie Gray? Sure enough. Good for her. And then that's her husband. And younger man, too. You go, Carrie. All right. And then that's the Gray children, but not... Her children have presumably grown and moved out and what have you. Okay, so we don't know... All right, and then we think... What's this residence? Oh, yeah. Oh. In the pension file, we can put a year on that. 1895. Because that's the date she's filing. And it didn't fill it in for us automatically, but we can fill it in here. That's the filing date. There. Helpful. Very helpful. That has a source. Okay, this is looking very nice. Okay, so this is good. Baker County. So presumably, Baker County, Oregon. Baker County, Oregon. It's pronounced Oregon. I'm just doing that. Okay, just to be annoying. Okay, and then this is his obituary, right? Is what you're referencing there? Great. So we have a source for that and everything. Wait, do we? Where's the 1906 comes from? She's done changed births from Minnesota to Oregon. Yeah. Yep. Great. Okay. And do the 1906 date, that comes from another researcher or family or something? I was thinking it came from here because I was thinking that was media that was attached to the marriage, but it's not. It's just media that's attached to this guy. So if we go look at it, it doesn't say that. Okay. Oh, and his wife died here in 1927. Got it. Did we have that for her already? We did. Okay, great. Peachy. So, what do we know? And what's our, what do we have for her? What kind of, do we have a marriage record for her? We have something. Hang on. We do. There's a something. Wait. That's not clerk. That's Lane. Did we know that? Okay. You have the record on family search. Sweet. Okay. That is interesting. Minnesota. All right. Well, let's go look at family search. Right? Because what part of what we want is we want to see if the marriage record says anything about where who her parents were. Occasionally they do. I wish they were more reliable for that, but they're not. Okay, records. Let me go find Elsie Bates because if they're in there, I know you've tricked this out. So, C Bates. Yeah, so I'm searching in the world of the family search tree. That guy. That's our guy. That's your profile that you've done. All right. Yes. Yeah. There you go. This is the one you've been working on. Okay. So then I'm looking at this guy. Carrie. So let's see what you have over here. Oh. Where's that from? And there's an extra child over here. Okay. Okay. So what I'm looking for is oh, aha. Right, we found that. Oh, good. Okay, good. We found that. There it is. Okay, so there's a record here. We can go look at that record. So you have a record for the 1906 marriage, because of course you do. Frank Gray, so he's, yep, and Carrie Bates. Great. That looks good. Marriage records. So what I would do is I'll throw this, hang on, going back to Carrie here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in here. That's just the family search citation text. And then that way I could also go put that link in there and so forth. I'm going to not image index. Okay. And then, oh, I want the date. I want the proper date. We'll go ahead and fill in that full date. Now, I know that the ancestry tree is not your primary place that you do research, and that is fine. So a lot of these little placeholders, I mean, there's nothing wrong with these little placeholdery things. Okay. Okay. That is fine. 2 records claim Lane and 1 record says clerk. And there's the place where it maybe says Clark. Okay, yep. So, okay. Yep. Okay. So what we want, so we have that one's got a real marriage record, and then let's look for the household. So I'm looking for the, is there anything about the marriage record in here? Let's just look at all the sources. Pension, Oregon marriages, Minnesota County. Ah, yeah. There you go. Okay. Yep. Got it. Oh, I see. Ah, I see. Ah, so that's somebody else has added. Minnesota births and christenings. Does it give her? Nope. Okay, so you've got your birth record for Thomas William Bates here, and it names his mother, but it doesn't look like it gives her her pre-married name. And then we have, see, now the mixed, what is that? Okay, why is that? Carrie Clark, Lucius Bates. Okay. Okay, so Alice is her daughter getting married and has given her mother's name as Carrie Clark. Or they misspelled it when they wrote it down. So that's her daughter's marriage record. Here's, presumably, this is her marriage record. And we can look at that, and it says Lane. Now, obviously, a reason for that could be Lucius C. Bates to Carrie Lane. Right. This seems likely to be the right person, right? That seems very likely. It's in the right place in Minnesota. So we're going to copy this here, citation here. Is there any other, are there any more pages of that? Yes. Carrie Lane of County of Washington. Carrie Lane. Right. A reason for that could be that she was married before. So Clark may have been her maiden name, and she may have been married to a Clark may have been her maiden name, and she was married to a Lane before she married Lucian. Now, she's really young, so she wouldn't have been married for very long if that was true. But it is possible. It is possible that she married young. It's a little late for it to have been she lost somebody in the war, right? She wouldn't have been married prior to the Civil War. That's just not very likely. Okay, so what I would be doing here is, again, this is kind of how I tell Ancestry I want to do fishing, is I'm going to put them all in there. And Carrie is most, or Carrie or Clara. So it's under all of those. All right, fine, dog. Let's out. Hi, dog. Would you like out? Okay. Yes, you can have out. Don't go out to bark, though. Thank you. Thank you. All right, there's dog. Okay, so on Ancestry, now this is the big difference in having a sandbox tree that I control versus having a public tree that is shared with the world, right? The tree that's shared with the world, we want a person to have one name, and we want it to be our best guess as to what their name probably was. If I were doing this on WikiTree, by the WikiTree standards, I would probably say Carrie unknown, and then I would put other last names, Lane, Clerk, and Clark, just so that we'd be able to see what the confusion is, because we don't actually know until we can go find birth records or family records that link her to this marriage, link her to this person. So on a shared family tree, I might actually go with unknown. There's not really rules over on Family Search, right? There's not like people curating and saying like, let's have a common standard. So it's almost a hybrid of kind of what do you want to do because you're the one playing with it versus, but here on Ancestry, because this is one where Abe and I are pretty much the only people editing this tree, I'm just going to load it up with all the stuff that will help Ancestry return me the best results when I go to do a search. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to dump them all in there. And the question marks are to make it much more clear that I don't know which one, if any, of these is actually correct. And then what we have, so her actual birth date, I'm guessing you have from someplace else, because the search doesn't get us that dialed in on the birth date. But we do have, that one says New York. This one says New York. So I can go ahead and associate that with her birth date. And does this one say New York? Yep, they all seem pretty well in agreement on the New York thing. There. And this one says New York. Yep. And as always, give or take a year, give or take 2 years on those census births. So I'm good with all of those, agreeing that those all say the same thing. So yeah, the name thing. We got Lane on her marriage record, which would tell us that that was her legal name at the time of the marriage. And then we have the one that I think is tantalizing is that her daughter's marriage record, her daughter would have been asked, what was your mother's maiden name? And she said Clark. And so those two things don't conflict if you think about it. It is totally plausible that Carrie could have been named Clark at birth. That would be her maiden name, and then have had the name Lane at the time she was married. Those two things don't conflict at all. They're not mutually exclusive. Okay. So, yes, exactly. Possibly she married Elaine in New York, moved to Minnesota. He dies. He leaves her a widow in Minnesota. What's she gonna do? Single woman in Minnesota wants to get remarried. And at that age, if she was really that young, she would particularly, what would she have done? Would she have gone back to New York, or would she be like, "Hey, there's an eligible dude here," and he's got, well, and we don't know what happened to his child Henry either. Right. But okay, so we don't know yet. And now we can just go do a generic search because this is where we're trying to kind of, oh yeah, I'm curious about this record. It does not seem likely that that's her. It just doesn't. It is the right age, but she was already married by then. So it's not just that she couldn't be in two places. Like, in theory, especially if somebody was, an unreliable reporter back here in New York, but given that she was already married, unless she was back for a visit, and then why would they that seems really unlikely. I don't love it. So then what that's telling me is, based on all of these records, aha, Carrie Clerk. Okay, there is a clerk. There is a spelled as clerk. Oh, that's interesting. Event place original. Oh, okay. He had his birth certificate reissued, right? It says event place originally he was born in Stillwater, which we knew because we have that record up here in 1878. And then he has presumably his birth certificate reissued. Cheeky boy has shaved a year off of his age, and he's got it reissued in Oregon. And it says 1879. Cheeky. So, and so he gave it as, we would have to go see the image, but we do have it clerk with an E in this record. I was going to say that the only place we had clerk with an E was in that bogus here census, but that's not true. So we have it as Clark in the daughter's marriage record here. And since we have an image of this, I'm going to check handwriting. So I'm trying to get a sense of if it's the E or the A. Well, we already know that Alice can't spell. Carrie Clark. That's clearly an A. So whoever wrote it, they meant an A. Were they correct? We don't know. And this is Alice. This is actually Alice Bates. And it says it's her second marriage. So yes, that's the right person. No, he wasn't born. It says here he was born in Pennsylvania. Dislike. Okay, so we don't really have anything definitive to pull us to Clerk or Clark. They're both equally sort of whatever. And then Lane. Fine. Was there there was that 1865 census in Minnesota, which makes me wonder if there was an 1875 census in Minnesota. Census. 1800 censuses. This would be a state one. So I don't want the federal censi, I want the state ones. Let's take me to Minnesota. Minnesota territorial and state censuses, which is what I want. Let's do that. Let's just see what there are. There is an 1875 census. Lovely. Let's look for Carrie Lane. She was born, what did it say? 1856. Fine. 1856. Let's see if Carrie Lane is there in 1875. I kind of like it. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. I would rather it was in, she was in Washington County. I would rather it be in, hang on. There's a Washington, nope. Nope. Washington, Minnesota. Washington County, Minnesota. Because that's where she was living in 1877. So I want to see. Oh, haha, census 1905. That does not help us at all. 1875. Exact. Get me 1875. Get me 1875 plus or minus 2 years is literally what I want. And that. In Washington County, Minnesota. So what I'm trying to figure out is if she was there and lived there, then maybe she was, yeah, well, Washington, Minnesota. I just want to see how close we can get, right? I don't like Lyon for Lane. That just too far afield. We've already got too much confusion around last names. That's a plausible one though, because that could just be handwriting. But it's in Iowa. But it says birth in Iowa. I don't love that. That's awfully young, but I don't hate it. Let's do county and adjacent counties to get us closer. Not really. Don't love those. Don't love those. But what if we just did anybody named Lane in 1875 in Washington County? Well, there's plenty of Lane. Yet another curse of common names, right? All right, but then we have, so maybe we're not looking for her. Maybe we're looking for a candidate for who she might have been married to. So what we could do, and this would be a bit of a slog that I think I'm going to not do right at the moment, is we could look at the men named Lane who were of appropriate age to have been married to her. There's a child named Lane in Stillwater. Well, now, that is interesting. That kid's got a mother, doesn't he? Okay. Where is Lane here? Lane. George Lane, 24. Living in a big old household of some kind. William Lane, age 3. Alan Lane, age 0. I don't see. It's over the page, right? So George Lane is at the bottom here. I don't see his wife, the mother of those 2 young children. I don't see him. William and Alan, so they're there. And I don't understand what household he is living in, right? I'm looking at these household numbers, and when I see a lot of disconnected families, that might tell me something like a rooming house or a work camp. Sometimes it's a prison or a sanatorium. But why? Yeah, so it's interesting, right? But it's the wrong direction. What I want is, if that were to say Mrs. George Lane, I'd be like, jackpot. Except then I'd want to know what happened to those children. All right, fine. So if I go, so that's the same person. That's George Lane. Olivia Lane. That's another Lane. In Stillwater. Specifically, these are people in Stillwater. which is where that marriage happened. That's why we care about this. Right? Fine, fine. I'm just going to look at all of them. I'm glancing at all of them, right? William Lane, that's that one that we saw. 10-year-old. Looking for anything that might be a clue. It's not really dialing it in for me, right? Clearly, those families are related to each other, but we don't have anything that's telling me that they're related to the person who married Lucius Bates. It's not giving me that. And I'm guessing Stillwater's probably the main town, and Lane is a common name, so it's killing me. But we do have a whole bunch of people whose parents were born in Maine, and one could imagine moving through New York on the way to Maine, from Maine to Minnesota. So a family that came recently from New England is of potential interest. And then we've run out of lanes and we're into variations. But there's no jackpot here, right? I don't see a jackpot. Bummer. Okay. So enough of that for now. So we just don't have, yeah, so Carrie's going to be a little brick wall for a while. Obituary? Hello. Hey. Hey, Jelaine. Good to see you. So we're hanging out. I'm chatting with our buddy Abe. I'm researching Abe's tree. So Abe is a friend who found us through WikiTree, found the stream through WikiTree, which is a testament to the power of WikiTree. Jelaine is one of my buddies from WikiTree. Taught me so much of the techniques that I know for researching in older records in New England, especially. Very, very exciting to have you here. Thank you. Like special guest star Jelaine. Awesome. Anyway, I'm psyched to have you on the stream. So Abe is here, or has been here. And so we're digging into, yes, special guest star. We're digging into just some little brick walls on Abe's tree of folks. He's got a bunch of family that ended up in the Midwest that came from vaguely New England, but at that time period where the New England records are difficult. So last stream and this stream, we've been plugging away at this guy, Lucius Bates. We don't really have great information about him prior to his service in the Civil War, and most of that just comes from a little bit of his service record, not much, and his pension application. Or no, his pension record. We don't have the application itself. So we have Minnesota, and we were trying to figure out who his parents were, and we got to someone who might be a brother or a cousin. Oh, I do indeed have. You're good call. I haven't looked there yet. Anyway, so we looked at him. We found the best lead we have yet is that we found this article, just a marriage announcement, nothing more, just teeny tiny marriage announcement in the Hartford Weekly Times. And we found it because there's this oddball index that Ancestry has. Here, the newspaper extractions. And so we went and actually were able to find that the Google archive had the real paper. And it really is just, a 2-line announcement. And it's perplexing. And this is for him and his first wife. And then we have, we've been digging in to try to figure out where his second wife might have come from. Second wife being the mother of, being Abe's actual ancestor. And we have really kind of nothing on her. We do have the marriage record, and Family Search has the original marriage record, which does not name parents. And we were trying to figure out why her marriage record, well, we're trying to get more confident about the fact that her marriage record has her name at marriage seems to have been Lane, but her children later on reported that her maiden name was Clark or Clerk. We said, fine, those things are not mutually exclusive. So we were trying to find any evidence of, hey, what about if there was a very, very young widow Lane in Minnesota in 1875? And we did not find the smoking gun for her living there, because we would have loved to have then pointed that to, is that real? Was there a first husband named Lane? If so, can we find that marriage record? And so on, and that might take us back closer to where she was born. That has not yet worked. So we're kind of at a stall there. But thank you for the reminder. Let's bop over to, we don't really have enough on her for me to know how to look her up on um, New England Historic and Genealogical Society, but we do have a not bad amount on Lucius here. Lucius, according to his war records, we have him as Lucius or Lucien, and then we have like his son just flat misspelled his name on his gravestone, as far as we can tell. This is a lovely time to talk about the New England Historic and Genealogical Society. They are online at americanancestors.org. Actually, hang on, I have them bookmarked. americanancestors.org, and we'll go to their advanced search, and we will remember to log me in. It'll let you search without a login. It'll just yell at you to log in after you find results. So we're logged in. I do indeed have a membership here. Oh, hey, if I do this, I do that. Kaboom! There's my memberships. That's the sort of the impactful things that I am a member of. Plus, of course, I have an account on Family Search, which is free, and an account on WikiTree, which is free. So here we have the New England Historic and Genealogical Society, HGS. Okay, their main site is American Ancestors. They have an unbelievable amount of stuff, and they have a physical location in Boston with a big old physical library staffed by loads of genealogists. And it's not just, they have diversified, I'll say some, right? They have, within the last generation or so, have figured out that it would be a good idea. So they do actually have lovely resources on Irish immigrants to New England, Jewish people in New England, indigenous people in New England, African American people in New England, and they've also branched out. There's some records that are beyond. So it's just a general purpose, really good genealogy resource. And to have access to their databases online, you have to be a member. There are different membership levels. I don't remember. There's stuff you get that's free, but then to get the good stuff, you want to be a member. And so then there's different membership levels, blah, blah, blah. And so what we're going to do, and I, of course, am a member because I do this stuff because I like it. We're going to go ahead and put Lucius and Lucien and C and Bates and 1822 to 1825. I don't even know. And Hart Terriffill, Connecticut. I'm just going to do that. Broad search here I don't use very often, so I don't know how well it... Okay, we got nothing. Let's refine that. Let's see, C. Bates. Cut. The ones where they don't automatically standardize the place names weird me out. I don't know what to do with those. Well, that doesn't help me at all. Okay. That doesn't help. Let's refine it again and try the Lucien spelling, but I'm pretty sure it would have given it to us if we had it. So we looked, Jelaine, before you got here, we looked on Ancestry in the Barber collection, which they have, and we didn't find anything even close. Not him, nor the possible brother that he may have, Thomas. So we had found Thomas, who is also a veteran who had military records and was living in the same place. Oh, the same super duper rural county in Oregon. They were living together at the same time. And we thought that was suspicious. This has a date. Hang on. Let me fix that. 1888. So we thought that was kind of sus. That was from the 1890 Veterans Schedule. Was showing them living in Harney, Oregon, which is in the middle of nowhere. And so the fact that, and there were only two families named Bates, and one of them is Lucius and one of them is Thomas, and they're very close in age. So we thought that's worth a look through some placeholders here in Ancestry to say, hey, what if? Now, he might, of course, be a cousin, and it's a Bates, so who knows? He might be nothing. But it was born at a similar time and in Hartford County. in Connecticut, his record said. So that made us think, man, you would think they would at least maybe know each other. I understand Hartford's a big county, but still, it's Connecticut. Anyway, so we thought that seemed promising. Unfortunately for us, we didn't have any better luck finding Thomas's parents than we have had finding Lucius's parents. So we are still at a dead end with both of them, but it was showing that technique. So on earlier streams, I researched my Hammond family, and one of the big breakthroughs we had with the Hammond family was we couldn't find the birth record for my ancestor because, as best I can determine, a birth record does not exist for him. But we found him living in a rural county in Iowa with somebody of the same. The only people with the Hammond surname in that county were him and this guy Lewis. They were born within 2 years of each other. We found a birth record for Lewis, which allowed us to zero in on Lewis's birth family. And later on, we found the probate records and the guardianship records for when Lewis's father died, listing all the children. And sure enough, there's my ancestor listed there. So it's what we're trying to do is shrink the size of the haystack that we're looking for the needle in. And so we at least know that we're kind of the things that we had that seemed kind of concrete were that the marriage record, the marriage blurb in the newspaper that we found the original of, does in fact say that he was from Tariffville, which means he was living there in 1849. That makes us feel very confident that this 1850, is that it? No. Oh, wait, we want this to be 1849. There's a typo in the Ancestry Index that it was said 1850, but it was actually 1849. Okay, so that's from the marriage record. So we still don't have him in the 1850 census. That's interesting. Why don't we go look for him there? So I didn't find anything at New England, sadly. Okay, 1850 census. So to narrow it down and force Ancestry to give me 1850 census, to at least try. Hey, look at that, Georgia. Yeah, see, there's more than one Lucius Bates, which is really annoying. Hey, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's that? In 1875. Oh. Okay, fine. You say Samuel, huh? Let's see. Yeah. All right, somebody transcribed that as an L and somebody else thinks it's an S, and I would be inclined to agree that that's an S. So, not our guy. All right. Had a little distraction there. It's okay. We're better now. We're back. Okay, what we want is the 1850. I'm really just going to pound on Ancestry for a second, and I want to make it give me the 1850 federal census. Because what I'd like it to tell me is that he's in, I would like it to tell me that he's in Tariffville, Connecticut. That would be awesome. Ancestry says, no, I'm not going to give you that. That's fine. Fine, be that way. Okay, so we have, okay, it's looking for both either Lucius or Lucienne. And Ancestry is going to be good about giving me initials. So here's the oddball thing. Well, okay, fine. Let's look at the household. Calvin Carr, Lucius Bates. That doesn't help me. The thing that's weird is that the newspaper article listed a bunch of places that didn't make any sense, right? So it had, no, Wisconsin. Oh, Henry was born in Wisconsin. Thank you. Okay. Which may mean that they were on the move already, right? So that would mean that someplace like New York is plausible. I don't like Missouri for that, but maybe. But New York. But weirdly, the newspaper very specifically says that Lucius and his first wife were married in 1849 in, it says, Graniteville, SC, South Carolina, which is a place that exists. There is also a Graniteville in Connecticut, and there's a Graniteville in Massachusetts. It says that Lucius's first wife, Anne, came from a place called Belleville, Massachusetts, which I'm having a tough time finding existing anywhere. That would be an interesting thing to look up on New England Genealogical Society, right? So we just have this bunch of oddball stuff that doesn't feel like it matches. L.W. Bates. Right? And it would be great if we could find him in 1850. He should be newly married. Should be. When's Henry born? Henry's born in 1856. Okay, so we've still got some time there. So what are they doing? But because we have that crazy thing about they were married in South Carolina, it means that him living in Georgia is not completely out of the question, if that record is right. I can't totally rule it out. We don't know what the heck he was doing down there, but maybe that's actually where he was. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. This one is almost a better choice, right? Mary Bates, Armida Bates. Mary E. is not Anne. And it has him born in New York, which he wasn't. Right? I hate it. I hate it. Hate it. All right, so none of that is really helping us. Why don't we have even less on his wives than we have on him, and we don't have a whole lot on him, but we have Anne Allen in Massachusetts. So why don't we do a new search here? We'll do Anne Allen. Right, and it's just such a common name. Painful. Belleville, Massachusetts. Well, let's see what we get. Because if Belleville ever existed, I would imagine Belleville, New Jersey. That's totally the wrong time frame. Right? All of these are totally the wrong time frame. Yeah, no, Marriage announcement very clearly said Belleville, Mass. Both Belleville and Mass. Ugh, gross, right? This is where I would probably actually go to the New England Genealogical Society and say, what the heck is a Belleville, Mass? And see if they had anything. And then the question is, how much did we want to, sorry, I didn't mean to close that tab. How much do we want to pound our head on the wall looking for Anne Allen, who's a first wife? The other thing we haven't been able to do so far is that we haven't had good luck at finding what happened to young Henry Bates after this. And we're going to run into the fact that Henry Bates is not is an annoyingly common name is what's going to happen. But this one, 1875, is interesting. Father's birth location, England. Please. But, so this is Minneapolis. Maybe? Right? I mean, it's yucky. I don't love it. And then we're getting a bunch of related records for somebody named William Henry Bates, which is not our guy. There's the Bates. Nope. See, he's in a household with his parents, who are not our people. It doesn't look like. All right, fine. Okay, so that's C. And then these suggested records tell us that at least somebody on Ancestry thinks that this record belongs to their William Henry Bates, who is a different person. Yeah, because we want Henry A. Bates. He didn't die in 1856. He was still living. But given that his father went further west, you got to figure that he may have also gone further west, but we don't know how much further west. We don't know that he went all the way to Oregon. He may have gone someplace else, and he may also have died in Minnesota. And we already know that we had trouble finding a death record for his mother. Oh, good heavens. Or his mother, it's actually a divorce. His mother remarries. They both take the new name. So, great to see you, Jelaine. Thanks for stopping by. It's very cool. All right, so we've got kind of a bunch of, there's just a bunch of, feels bad, right? Doesn't feel great. We're just feeling very stuck here. We didn't really get where we would want it. We got a little bit here. We just were able to fill in more of what these records were, but only enough to tell us that they don't help us understand where she came from. 1860. So why don't we play her name's actually Clark, the game, and see if we can find anybody like, so now we've got, again, Clark is going to be miserable. Oh, hey, there it is. Look at that. Good, we can attach that record. Go us. We'll do that. Yes. Beautiful, we're in there. All right, we're in there. So now let's look here. What I want to do is see if there are any interesting candidates in, yes, thank you, the 1860 census. Now, she will definitely be, this is why this sucks, right? She will definitely be living with her birth family or a guardian because she's going to be 4 years old. But we can look for her in 1860 and in 1870. So we don't have either one of them. Excuse me. So why don't we start with 1870? The thing that's gonna suck is that her name is Clark. And Carrie's not that uncommon a name. And she's not very likely to already be married in 1870 at age 14. That's not very likely. Oh, I suppose we couldn't rule out that maybe Lane is her stepfather's name. That could be a thing. But let's look for Clark. Okay, so Clark. So what we end up having to do in a situation like this is we're looking for, so where are we at? We're in 1870. So this could be Minnesota, but we don't have any, nobody's coming back Minnesota. And it's looking under both names for her, which is actually quite helpful, right? So we're getting both Lanes, Lyons, Clarks, and Clerks. And there aren't any Clerks. And that's fine. So what I would be looking for would be, could they be on the way? So Illinois, so upstate New York is interesting. Western New York is interesting. Illinois is interesting because it's on the way. New York City is not interesting because if she's from New York City, I give up. I quit. But where we could do, what would turn into a lot of digging is if we see somebody like this family here in Illinois. And we say, okay, here she is, fine. Age 16, working as a domestic in Illinois. Fine, plausible, right? And then we have this other big mixed household that we would need to go look at to figure out who in this household is actually her parents and family and such. So we've got a bunch of mixed names. Where's she at? There she is. Aha! Oh, got it. Okay. Okay, good. It is a Clark household. I would agree that that is probably his children and that his wife is not there. I don't dislike that, actually. I kind of dig it. And then there's a whole bunch of hired. Oh, poor baby. It's a whole bunch of hired people living in the house. So that's why it's mixed, right? Lots of farmhands, housekeeper, domestic servant, etc. So that's why there's mixed different names. But the household is actually a Clark household. So I don't hate that for her. Right? That's not terrible. But there's nothing in there that says, yeah, that's definitely our guy, right? This one? Sure, right? So there are a bunch of these that it could be. Saratoga, Lion. No, I'm not going Lion. That's just too far. It's too far. Sure. Right. And then what's even harder is that not a lot of these. No, I'm not taking Cora. A lot of these are actually not going to give us enough information even about her. Like the one where she's living as a domestic. doesn't give us any information about her parents, right? So that doesn't help us. This one here. No, not this one, but similar, right? If she's living in a household with not a Clark family. But none of these really jump out and say, yes, that's definitely our guy. Let's go back to 1860. Just see what we get. I'm not going to hold our breath, right? But let's take a look. By 1860, Lucius was already living in Minnesota. That doesn't mean our gal is. She might still be back with either her Lane or Clark families. Oh yeah, we want to get to, there we go. There we go. So now we're in the, and that's that same Carrie Lane that we saw in 1870. I'm not super excited about Kansas, even though it's west. It's kind of the wrong direction west, but I wouldn't rule it out. I'm just not excited about it. If it was Minnesota or Wisconsin, I'd be excited, right? Okay, so we've got this. That's, I mean, sure, right? But what we can start to do is, oh, so the other thing we could do, especially when we're researching women, is we want to kind of look around for the households that they're in will be under the name of a father or a husband most often, or they might be living with some other family. Could be a brother-in-law, could be some other male relative. I suppose the other thing, oh, another thing we could do is we could look in the 1880 census for anybody named Clark or Lane in Utica, Minnesota. Okay. And then especially if they were from New York, right? We're playing the same game here of looking maybe for siblings. So we have a Cornelia Clark, 1829 in New York, but that's her married name. That's her married name. Doesn't help, right? So we have a, oh, but Benjamin Clark, because you know that's a butchering of Benjamin Clark. He's born in Maine, not New York. Elizabeth Clark, born in Scotland, doesn't really, right? And then that's daughter Nellie Clark. So we've got Benjamin Cornelia and Nellie Clark, who not feeling compelled by that. I don't love it. But although the fact that it's in Utica, in the same county, I mean, that makes it more interesting than it might otherwise be. Let's look counties and adjacent counties. Because what I'd be looking for is, could there be a sibling, could there be a cousin who moved out to Minnesota with Carrie, and because we're dealing with the Clark surname, I don't love it, right? It's going to be hard to dial that in and say, yes, they're definitely same, but it would be, what would make it more interesting is if it's in the years around 1856 when she was born and it's New York. That makes those things a little more interesting because that would match up more to what Carrie's information is. So I see a couple of things, a couple of New Yorks. There's a Phoebe. That's too old. I mean, it could be a, right? Just, we're getting a little far afield here. It's not really a small enough haystack yet. So I might go looking for other things that would tie them together, but I'm not finding anything I'm real excited about on her either. So I think that puts us kind of stuck on, all right, there we go. Let's go back to the tree. Back to the tree. So, yeah, where does that leave us? Not super excited about the progress there. We haven't added any new names. We've done a little bit of tweaking on Carrie's record to try to pull down some more hints, but nothing compelling. And then this James Gray, sure, we've got hints on James Gray, but he is not related to us directly. And because they met in Oregon, it's not likely that they came from the same place. So his origin is not very likely to tell us anything about Carrie's origin, right? She's just a widow in Oregon. She's looking around. There's this guy with a widow or with a family. That's what we got. What would be interesting would be if we could find an obituary for her that might give any more detail, but it might not. It would rely on her survivors knowing what to tell the newspaper to put in the obituary. And if they didn't know, then the newspaper didn't know either. And then could we find any kind of death information or information about what happened to Anne after she was no longer married to Lucius? Because we think, did she die in the 1870s or did she move on with her life in the 1870s? And we just don't know. We don't know. So we've kind of hit a dead end for now on Lucius, Anne, and Carrie, and Thomas. So everybody in here who might be, these four might have something to say about where Lucius came from. James Gray is not going to tell us anything about where either Carrie or Lucius came from. So, and it's going to be harder and more painful to find siblings for her under Lane or Clark. I'm still curious about whether Lane was a previous husband and if we could find a death record for him in Minnesota, but we're already struggling a little bit with the Minnesota death records. So, and that's still a very big, we're just making a wild guess that that's what her situation is. Carrie still has a living, wow, Carrie has a living granddaughter. Sweet. Yeah, ask her questions. Yes, definitely. So, Belleville Cemetery, yep. Oh, yeah, Anne has to create a membership to be able to chat. So it's free. She just has to do it. Thank you, Jelaine. We did, yes, we found the Belleville thing. We think Newburyport looks not terrible. Yes, we think not terrible. And would account for the fact that Anne Allen has birth registered, listed as either Massachusetts or New Hampshire, because where Newburyport is really close to New Hampshire. So, all right, so here we are. So with that, what I want to do at this point is go back to the main tree. It always puts it way over there on the left. Back to the main tree, because there comes a time in all of the brick wall research where sometimes you just got to take a break from the particular brick wall that you have been beating your head against and look at a different one. And we did that last time, right? We did that last time with the Abram V. Height mystery over here. And we said, well, let's take a break. And then the juiciest, sort of most interesting spot was down here on Lucian and Carrie, because they didn't and still don't have any parents listed. So that was sort of the lowest level ancestor, lowest level closest to us ancestor that we didn't have their origin story. So we unfortunately still don't. That does bring us up to noon-ish, which means it's probably a good time to not dive into a whole new family. So what we've done on this stream is just kind of gone and dug through more sources, and we stretched out past Lucian and Thomas and looked at their wives or looked at Lucius's wives to try to see if any of their stuff was going to give us any breakthroughs as to where they may have come from. The most exciting, most interesting thing, I think, of all we found is the actual marriage announcement in the Hartford Weekly Times. That's pretty cool. I suppose a person could go back through the Hartford Times and look for other things about Lucius Bates in that paper. I don't remember how good the text recognition on that Google repository actually is. I just don't recall. So that could be a thing. But we kind of talked a lot about the different kinds of different kinds of sources, the different kinds of information we would want to try to find about all of those good people. And we looked for all of those things and we pretty much didn't find them. So, or we found stuff, but nothing really definitive. So we are still stuck. We explored a lot of techniques. We just didn't have huge breakthroughs with any of them. So sad. So, so I think it's a good place to wrap it up for the day. And to when we come back, so on a future stream upcoming, we're going to have, I've got agreement with a new guest, but I don't know when they're going to want to join us. So we're going to keep plugging away with, probably keep working on Abe's tree because there's just a lot of stuff that I haven't done or haven't seen before that we can do. We may bounce back to the Hammond tree and look at Hammond stuff at some point, but I haven't stopped having fun with Abe's tree yet. So that's probably what we'll do. As a reminder, though, to all of you out there viewing, uh, and hi to the folks who don't have, who I can't see because you don't have Twitch accounts. Very cool to know that you might be watching. Create a free Twitch account if you want to participate in chat. Woo! Anyway, thank you so much for following, for viewing the stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, wait, let me go put YouTube in the chat. If you're watching the videos on YouTube, you won't be seeing the chat that's on Twitch. Join us live on the stream to participate in that. That's fun. We stream live on Sunday mornings at twitch.tv/basketcase. BS, yeah. And you can watch the full-length videos here over on my YouTube channel, which is in the chat. Anybody who's viewing, if you have a family mystery that you want to take a look at or have a different set of eyes take a look at, that's why I'm here. I will play around with my tree or an existing tree when we don't have anything else to talk about in order to show you techniques that you can use and talk about the different kinds of websites and what you can do on them. I may, oh, you know what, Abe? I wonder if the New England site, we didn't really get to look well at the New England Historic and Genealogical Society. Like, we poked around there, didn't get anything, but your Crocker line that goes back to Mayflower would be that at some point there's going to be a boatload, a boatload of stuff about that family will be on the New England site, and that might be a good thing. So maybe going up and looking at the Crocker line, or if you know you have any others who go back to early New England settlers, they would be there. I know my Hammond line and like all the folks in my tree that are on that site, which is why I have the membership there to begin with. But yeah, it would be nice to do some justice to New England's society and show you what that site is actually capable of doing, show you the really good stuff that it has. We just didn't have the Bates and Clark and Allen families just didn't give us that. But some other families that are going to have more records would be a good way to explore their collection and understand what all they can do for you. Anyway, we're not far enough back to really hit the, for the Height family, we're not far enough back to really hit the sweet spot of that society. Yes. So what we would get is we're going to probably get a bunch of stuff like what you have, which is a few generations back, a bunch of people with that name, but we don't know how or whether they connect to your people. That's what we get. So with the Crockers, though, I think we do know how they connect, which makes that a little more interesting. The other thing that we might be able to do in a future stream with you is you've mentioned the Sievert family who came from Germany. And it could be fun to explore international records at some point. Although there's just still so much that we can do in the U.S. records that's not been explored yet. So anyway, but any of you who are viewing, if you have a family mystery that you'd like us to look up, that's why I'm here. It's fun. As you can see, it's fairly straightforward to participate in chat and have a bit of a back and forth. I try to keep up with chat, or just a bit of a delay. But I'm happy to dig in and look at any of your trees. We have one more guest that we're planning on having in the next month or two. Fingers crossed that that works out. So we'll have a whole new tree with a whole new geographic area to dive into, and that'll be super fun. But if you would like to get in the queue either before that person or after that person, would love to have it. I'm really enjoying playing around in research and a tree that I'm not familiar with, because we can really find, you'll see what it looks like to be frustrated, but also what it looks like to have those little exciting breakthroughs. So pretty fun. Yay! Oh, the Lathrops. Oh yeah, see the Lathrops is where you and I are gonna tangle a little bit because there is an oddball relationship between the Lathrops and the Hammonds. Um, so I've been looking for a springboard to talk about the whole research around my ancestor Benjamin Hammond, and maybe we'll do so. At some point, we'll do a stream where I will rant about Benjamin Hammond. And there's a connection to the Lathrops in that story. It's not a connection of them being related, though. It's a connection of them being claimed to be related, but they're not. Anyway, so that's fun. So that'll be the stream where we talk about how you and I are not cousins. It'll be great. Anyway, but again, thanks everybody for joining. If you're watching on YouTube, thanks for joining on YouTube. The link to the Twitch chat should be in the description below this video, so you are welcome to come and join us on the Twitch live stream. Please do give us a follow. On Twitch, you will be able to set up notifications so that you're notified when I go live. It is usually Sunday mornings Pacific time. Sometimes I miss. I keep threatening to have streams at other times, and I keep not doing that. So, because Sunday's just working. And then if you are here from any of the other Twitch communities that I'm part of, and you're in those Discords, you are welcome to chat me there. We don't have a Discord yet for this stream. I'd like us to get a little bit bigger before I set something like that up. And there's other good stuff coming as we hit more followers. Last pitch, and this is totally random, but over in the Civilization 6 gaming community, which I also am a part of, I am known as the creator of the spreadsheet, which we do scorekeeping for a tournament on another Twitch channel, not related to genealogy at all, but it is showing off some spreadsheeting skills. I've made a promise to the Civ 6 community that if I hit 35 followers, I will do a stream where I tell you all about that spreadsheet and how I built it, and you'll learn lots of spreadsheeting skills. So, spreadsheet stream at 35 followers. Tell your friends, help me get there, and we'll talk about spreadsheets. It'll be exciting. Pretty much all things just geeky and detail oriented, I guess we could do on the stream. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. To all those in the United States, happy Independence Day. Enjoy your day off. Hope you have fun. Please be safe and do not set anything on fire unintentionally. Only set things on fire on purpose. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.